You don't sabotage yourself because you're weak. You sabotage yourself because you're obeying a rule. A rule so old, so automatic, that you call it my personality. And that's why self-sabotage feels insane. You can see the goal, but your system hits the brake anyway. In the next 60 seconds, you'll find your rule in one sentence. Then I'll show you how to break it for good with a 3-step method and a quick ruby seal practice that locks the change into the body. First, what is self-sabotage mechanically? It's an effect, and effects don't appear for no reason. They're produced by a cause. So if you only fight the behavior, procrastination, binging, ghosting, quitting, you're fighting smoke. A fire is underneath, the inner rule that decides what feels safe. Let's expose it. Pick one pattern where you sabotage yourself. Work, money, body, relationships, consistency. Choose one. Now answer this. What would become true about me if this actually worked? Not what would I have? What would become true about you? Because sabotage protects identity. If you succeeded, you might become visible. You might become responsible. You might outgrow your old role. You might lose the excuse. You might have to face a bigger standard. Now here's the rule finder. Finish this sentence fast, no overthinking. If I fully go for it, then underscore. Whatever shows up first is usually the truth. If I fully go for it, then I'll be judged. Then I'll fail and I won't recover. Then people will expect more from me. Then I'll be alone. Then I'll lose control. That sentence is the contract. And your sabotage is simply enforcing it. Now you can see the pattern in real time. You get close to progress. The rule triggers. Your nervous system shifts. And your attention hunts for relief. Relief is the effect. A rule is the cause. Same inner cause, same decisions. Same decisions, same results. So the only real solution is change the cause. Here's where most people get stuck without realizing it. Step 1. Map the rule. Make it visible. Write this exact line. When I move toward underscore, I sabotage by underscore because I believe underscore. Example. When I move toward finishing, I sabotage by researching and reorganizing because I believe I'll be judged. Keep it blunt. No therapy language. One sentence. Because once you can name it, you can stop calling it me. Before you move on, check something important. Sabotage always has a payoff. Not a nice payoff. A payoff that keeps the old rule alive. Here are 4 common payoffs. Listen and notice which one hits. Relief. If I don't start, I don't feel the pressure. Example. You tell yourself you'll start when you feel ready, and for 5 years, that day never comes. But at least you don't feel the pressure today. Protection. If I don't try, I can't be judged. Example. You avoid submitting your work until the deadline passes, so you can always say, I would have done well if I'd actually tried. Control. If I stay in planning, I never risk the unknown. Example. You research a business idea for months, gathering every detail except the one thing that matters, actually starting. Loyalty. If I outgrow my role, I'll disappoint someone. Example. You keep playing small in your career because your family expects you to stay humble and not get too big. If you can name the payoff, you can replace it with a cleaner one. Here's a fast confirmation test. Imagine the problem disappears tonight. You wake up tomorrow with full focus, confidence, consistency. What is the first thing that scares you about that? That fear is the rule's fuel. Now, if you only take one sentence from this video, let it be this. You don't fix self-sabotage by hating it. You transform it by understanding what it's protecting. One more thing that makes this work faster. Learn to recognize the rule state early. Most people notice sabotage at the end, after the damage. But there are early signals. Your attention fractures. You can't hold one task. Your inner voice speeds up. Urgent thoughts, quick justifications. Your body shifts, tight chest, jaw clench, restless legs, heavy eyes. When you feel those signals, don't debate your mind. Do a 30-second reset. Name it. Rule is online. Normalize it. Of course it's here, it's old. Navigate it. Small opposite action. Right now. That tiny sequence stops you from merging with the impulse. Step 2. Interrupt the automatic swing. Self-sabotage usually follows a rhythm. Pressure gives doubt, gives control, gives collapse, gives regret, gives restart. You don't break that loop with motivation. You break it with a deliberate move to the opposite behavior, a polarity switch. The moment you feel the impulse to sabotage, ask, what is the smallest opposite action I can do in 90 seconds? If you want to avoid, gives open the file and write 2 ugly lines. If you want to over-control, gives to a 5% imperfect action. If you want to withdraw, gives send 1 honest sentence. If you want to numb, gives take 1 grounded breath and choose 1 tiny task. Small on purpose. Because your system must learn. Movement is safe. Here's the part most mindset advice skips. You don't just need a new thought. You need a new rule installed into your body. Step 3. Reintegration. Ruby seal. Install a new rule. Most sabotage is an inner split. One part wants growth. One part wants safety. If you attack the safety part, it fights harder. If you respect it and change its job, it stops pulling the brake. So here's the Ruby seal. 2 minutes. Ground. Stand up, feet flat. Press your toes into the floor. Breathe 7 breaths. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 6. Longer out than in. Name the old rule. I see you protecting me with underscore. Install the new rule, 1 line, doable today. Small action is safe. I can be seen in small doses. I can succeed without abandoning myself. Can move without perfect control. Prove it immediately. Within 10 minutes, do the smallest opposite action. Think of this less as fixing yourself, and more as updating an old protection that you've simply outgrown. And yes, the ruby part matters symbolically. Red is the signal of embodied will, warmth, blood, presence, life force. You can use an actual ruby anchor if you like, or simply use the color red as your cue. The mechanism is the same. State first, action second. Now, 1 quick example so you can spot this in yourself. If your rule is, if I become consistent, I'll be trapped, then sabotage creates chaos, because chaos feels like freedom. So your new rule isn't be disciplined. Your new rule is, structure can serve me. And you prove it with a structure you can exit. A 20-minute focus block, a 1-week plan, a commitment with a clear end. That's how the old contract breaks, not by force, but by new evidence. And when you slip, because you will sometimes, don't turn it into identity. Don't restart the whole old story. Do this instead. Trace it back. What rule was I protecting? Do 1 opposite move anyway, even if it's tiny. Run the ruby seal once. Because the win is not never slipping. The win is shortening the loop. That's what changes your life. Fewer lost hours, fewer lost days, less self-hate, more course correction. Here's the final checkpoint. You're making progress when the urge to sabotage still appears, but it's weaker. You notice it faster. You recover faster. And the small opposite action becomes normal. That's what for good looks like. The loop loses authority. You stop obeying an invisible rule. You write a new cause, and your outcomes reorganize around it. If you want more practical inner alchemy like this, clear, usable, and grounded, subscribe.